Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am so thrilled to be with you today. Thank you for joining me. Somebody mentioned Teddy in the comments, so Teddy very much wanted to be a part of this transmission today. First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out of thanks to Lucy, who's been struggling with a lack of power these days, storms, rain, lightning, thunder, and she's still managing to come online with us, hopefully for at least some of the live stream today. So welcome, Lucy. Thank you for being here and for all your support. So I'd like to say, first of all, welcome to everybody who is here in person, live. And for those of you coming later, welcome. There's a new form of contagion on this planet that I'm hoping that will ignite. We're in a fire full moon, Aries full moon. As you can see behind me, I've got one painting fiery and one painting cool, cooling the energy down. We don't want it too hot. We don't really want to be too cold. We want something in between, which is why I've sat in between the two. And maybe you can even see right now, which one are you most drawn to? Are you drawn more to the cooling blue ocean water shades? Are you drawn to the fiery, lively red, orange, yellow colors? Where does your energy feel it is at the moment? So we've got a contagious virus on our planet, COVID-19. And with it, if we allow it, we can have a contagion of fear around our planet that is much, much, much worse than anything that COVID-19 could ever do. Because fear is something that we've been living with for eons. I don't know about you, but much of my life I've been in fear until pretty recently, until the channeling and various other things. But that fear epidemic is never very far away. Yes, if you've only got to look at the media, you've only got to look at reports about the economy, about politics, and you could be scared to death. I remember when this COVID thing first started, when Greece shut down, that one, we just shut down, and the entire city was just like a death city. It was like everybody had died. Everyone was so frightened. They were in their houses. They didn't dare breathe. So chances are, at the time of this full moon, things are coming to a head. We've got 2 full moons this month, October. One the first day of the month, first second of the month, and one on the last day of the month. The first one is a Mars energy, and the last one is a Venus energy, quite different. So we've an opportunity as we move through October. I feel as though we're dealing with astrologically the energies of Venus and Mars. The sun is in Libra. We're dealing with Venus energy. Mars, the moon right now in Aries, we're dealing with Mars energy. So we've got these 2 polarities coming up super strong. Welcome, Drew. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so lucky to have Drew and Lucy here with us on the live stream today. So full moons bring things to a head. To let you know, your 2021-22 forecasts are out. I've done some annual predictions. And I've also done horoscopes for each sign. Lucy or Drew, if you're able to, if you could put some links to some of those horoscopes, or maybe the playlist, so that, or in the comments, if you've got a chance, if you're able to, that would be great. So you can find your personal horoscope for the coming year. I felt as though it was important to post early. Many of you have asked, when are you putting out the 2021 stuff? We want to see what's the flavor. So that's out there. And what I'm noticing here online with our beautiful online family is that we are creating a love virus. A virus of love. It's so gorgeous here. People liking, thank you, Nicholas, asking people to like the video. So much support, so much love for one another. And that creates an energy field. It creates something in your life. It changes your frequency. When your frequency changes, all the people around you have an opportunity to shift. Yes, Christina, words can kill or they can bring life, they can bring love. And what we are needing to do, if we can, is come into conscious awareness of what we're doing. I mean, I think it was brought out, I realize I've in my title, Insults and Interruptions, or Pathway to Peace. Because we've got these polarities, haven't we? I mean, I know many, I think, were really quite shocked with this latest presidential debate, with how quite unbelievable it was, with the insults flying and shut up, and I've done more in 47 months than you've done in 47 years, and all these kinds of amazing comments from people who are here to lead countries, to lead nations, to lead the strongest nation in the world right now. And it's not that they are bad people per se, it's just the behavior patterns, the ego identity. And this is Mars in Aries for over 6 months. This has to be to do with, and it's there till January, folks. This has to do with working with this egoic identity. Feeling as though you've got to defend yourself. Feeling as though we've got to fight one another. We've got to protest, we've got to riot. We've got to say we're not having it. But once you get into a fight, you're in the vicious circle of competition, of winning, of losing, and of separation. Thank you very much, Pohala, once again for all your support. So it's supporting this energy of separation, which we've done for centuries and centuries, with missiles, with war, with weapons, with military. And the planets are coming to a head to show us now that we can choose a different way. What's happening is, as Eckhart Tolle said recently in a wonderful video, is we've got collective upheaval. Sometimes a person goes through it. As a person, you will have gone through probably, maybe, even now maybe, the loss of a job, the loss of a relationship, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a home, and sometimes, or a health issue, and sometimes a lot of things come up at once. And often for an individual, that can be a huge awakening, as well as bloody painful. And now we've got this happening as a collective, globally. The difference now is that we know we've got it going on globally. I don't know that previously in the history of mankind, there's been such a connection with technology where we could communicate with one another and say, hey, you know, this is hitting us here. This is hitting us there. Welcome, Mary. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the great comment, learning to be responsive instead of reactive. Yes. So it's amazing to me when I speak with different clients, how differently one sees the COVID-19 pandemic from another. One will see it as just terrible, can't wait for life to get back to normal, can't wait for it all to be over, please bring the vaccine on, this is awful. That's one perspective. At the other extreme, I have many clients, even in Australia, where the lockdown has been very, very severe, saying this is the best thing that's ever happened. I've had to go internally. I've found out so many things. I'm feeling calmer. I'm learning so much. So we've got many perspectives. One person sees opportunity, another person sees fear. And if more of us can get together and get out of this fear consciousness, this is the challenge. Mars is square, ruler of this new full moon. Mars retrograde is square to all these structure planets, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. This is breaking out of our old habitual reactions to situations. It's very intense. Yeah, it's super intense. But when you act out of fear, I speak for myself, whenever I've acted out of fear, it's never done me much good. It's usually been action that has no deep intelligence to it. And acting out of fear can often be very destructive and painful to the people around me. Thank you, Kimberly. You don't see fear, you see us coming together as a community. Beautiful. That's what I'm hoping for with these transmissions, that we raise one another so that you go above this denser frequency of fear and panic and anxiety and stress. So what I'm trying to learn from this Mars retrograde and these aspects is how to be really conscious before I take any action. Can I bring an element of consciousness, awareness? Where is my attention? So before I come online with you, I say a little prayer. I pray that I can bring through information that will be useful, will be uplifting, will be helpful, will enable us to connect and to feel our connection. And it's not easy to reach out to people who are very difficult or who are very angry. And I'd probably start out with easier people first. And easier also is online. What is little Teddy doing? Marieka, Teddy is wanting to soothe you, wanting to say that everything's okay, and that most of the fear that you've got going on is something that's manufactured in your head. And through the fear, you can talk yourself into an undesired result. I was speaking in the last live about Auschwitz survivor, 92-year-old Dr. Edith Eger, E-G-E-R, amazing books she's written, and still going strong and still dancing every week at 92. But she said there was somebody in the camp with her in Auschwitz who kept saying, we're going to be rescued by Christmas. We will be rescued by Christmas. And she was so optimistic and so full of hope. And she really believed that. Christmas came, they were not rescued. She died the next day. She lost her hope. So make sure that you haven't got black and white outcomes. Be open to many options. Be open to many possibilities. When you're fearful, you're narrowing everything. You're narrowing your options. Is it easy to do? No. I see friends of mine sometimes on a very high frequency for a long time, then all of a sudden get sucked into some kind of conspiracy story, some kind of terrible videos with lots of distressing information, and woo, the energy goes down. Thank you, Gloria. I appreciate that. Thank you for addressing insults and interruptions. Try to use your words to spread courage. That's a beautiful message for this full moon. To be aware of what your state of being is every time you're taking action, every time you're making a decision. Is the decision out of fear, or is the decision out of an awareness, of a conscious awareness? And I think that's the message largely of this month, but particularly this moon with Mars square. And the Mars retrograde, you're looking back at yourself at the moment and not lashing out and blaming somebody else. Because quite honestly, there are so many unknowns. There are so many things that are confused and messy. I don't think many of the leaders know what on earth they're doing half the time right now, with so many balls up in the air. It's a bit like you might be able to juggle 2 balls, and even at a pinch 3. But when you've got 7 or 8, you're going to be dropping balls all over the place, aren't you? Yeah, you're just not going to be able to hold it together. And I think that's what we're seeing in our leadership. And the Aries full moon has to do with recognition of leadership and what makes good leadership. And what makes very bad leadership? What is no good for us anymore? What kind of leaders do we need to take us to the next conscious state of our evolution? And maybe by changing our vibrations, we can influence our existing leaders. It doesn't mean to say that we've got to fight them and get rid of them, but by our frequency, not tuning into the reactiveness and shutting somebody else down and shutting our borders and shutting ourselves to one another, but opening up to the possibility that once I awaken and once I can be aware of my actions and whether they are coming from a place of anger, revenge, even irritation, which is all a lower frequency and likely to pull back to you the same frequency. So what I thought was very interesting, one of the things that Eckhart Tolle said, I love Eckhart Tolle because he's so consistently clear in his message, was that the outcome of a situation is determined by your state of consciousness. So for example, if you're driving and you're late and you're angry, you're kind of irritated and stressed, and somebody pulls out in front of you, and instead of just letting it go and maybe giving him a little more space and saying maybe he's got somebody who's not well and he needs to get to the hospital, you don't know, but having a perspective of space for somebody else. That's why we've got this space issue going on. But instead of doing that, you hoot him and you get angry and maybe you get into a road rage and maybe you have an accident. So it can all spiral out of control if you come from an unconscious state of being. And I think that's the challenge of this month, of can we now, when we see this great egoic consciousness that takes us into pain and suffering, and takes pain and suffering to those around us far and wide. And I'm no saint here, believe me, I get irritated, I get angry, I have all these emotions. And the astrology is asking me to correct those emotions consciously, to notice when I'm feeling these things. And of course, it's very much connected to our physical well-being. When you're feeling rage and anger and bitterness and resentment, that, if you hold on to that for any length of time, that affects you physically in a negative way. So what evolves in your external life is determined by your internal state. So if I'm feeling peaceful and kind and benevolent and joyful, that's why I find myself singing a lot. Singing is really great, you know, really gets you off it. But whatever you do to take yourself out of when you begin to go on that slippery slope, and you might watch some politics and be very angry, might have a reaction in you. How are you going to use the anger? That's the question. Not that you shouldn't have anger, because we do, it's human emotion. Are you going to use it consciously? Doesn't mean to say you feel love and light and all nice things, no. Dr. Edith used to say that when somebody was feeling rage, let's say you're feeling rage, how could somebody have done this to me? I'm sure that in your life somewhere you've probably had that feeling. Maybe there's somebody you can even conjure up now and wonder why they did what they did. So first you would write a letter of rage, getting all the poison out of you. Poison's got to come out, not sit in. And then afterwards you can begin to have feelings of love and compassion and kindness and benevolence. So Mars in Aries, I'm reminded Aries rules fevers. It rules heat in the body. And now with this COVID thing, everywhere you go in, they're taking your temperature. And to me, that's an external reminder to take your own temperature, for me to take my temperature many times a day, just as we're being in several places where it's happening around the world, not everywhere, but some places are having it. So what's that a reminder of to me? Just tuning in, coming back into that present moment again, coming back in. Where am I? Am I feeling soft and gentle? Or am I feeling stiff and rigid and unyielding? What am I feeling? Take your own temperature. You don't need a COVID test. And I notice it comes up lots and lots of times in a day. Simple things, like if somebody's on the phone, they're asking me to spell my name, you know, and I'm like, I'm spelling it. Bracha. Yeah, okay. B-R, and you know, they're asking me again. And now it's the third time. And I feel the impatience rise. It's like, okay, chill. I get it at nighttime sometimes when I'm walking. It's peaceful here in the countryside. It's lovely. And these cars come along with headlights on main beam. I can't see a thing. So I'm covering my eyes like this. And some drivers, I have to say, do lower the headlights. But I feel that irritation rise. And these are tiny things. So I think it takes practice. Maybe some of you have got some techniques. Maybe we can share some techniques. What do you do? Do you react? Have you got knee-jerk reactions? And what do you do to rise above those reactions? Thank you so much, Lucy and Drew, and everybody in the live chat, and everybody online now, and everybody online at any time that you join. Welcome. I want you to feel welcomed here. Teddy welcomes you. Wow, Donna, it's 3:10 in Australia. Thank you for being up. Welcome. So yeah, okay, universal you meditate. DS yoga helps. Great. Thank you, Chiara. Appreciate your comments. So it's this pull into the collective mania. Thank you, Nicholas. Much appreciated. 5 years of sobriety and self-care. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Cedric, thank you for your generosity. Teddy says thank you too. Let's build one another. So what we're looking to do is to go beyond this reactivity and find a deep place inside where the polarity doesn't exist. I don't know about you, many of you may really tap into it consistently for many hours a day. I find myself going in and out of it, I have to be honest. I really want to get back into it though. When I'm out of it again, it's like, oh, it feels so good. Thank you very much, Evan. I appreciate that. So you know when you're in that place. And it's just a matter of practicing getting back into it and into it and into it for longer periods and longer periods. And the more we do that, the more we change the outcomes of situations in our lives. Exercise, Lucy helps you. Yes. Yeah, Catherine, you're talking, you judge yourself and talk badly to yourself and you make it worse. Exactly. So you make it worse. And we have a choice now consciously. Before, I didn't know I was making it worse. I wasn't aware of it. Now I can see what the Indians would call, I think the Hindus call karma. The karma plays out very quickly because of my thoughts, my deeds, my actions. But anger is one that is tremendously destructive. Complaining is another one. I've resolved to do my very best not to complain. Oh, the weather, oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other. Because the egoic mind always can find something to beef about. You know, in England, often you'll ask somebody, how are you? And they'll say, mustn't grumble, love. Yeah, it's like, you know, don't be too all right. So complaining is going against where you're at. Doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't take some action, but I'm wanting in this energy of this full moon in Aries, what are the resolutions you want to make regarding becoming aware of anger, irritation, fighting, animosity, bullying, hatred, all these things. Where are you experiencing antagonism? And we've got to grow up. We've got to stop it. Uranus is in Taurus. It's opposite Mercury. It's going to get stronger, this opposition between Uranus and Mercury. And Mercury is the lower mind, and Uranus is the higher mind. And these are in opposition. So there may well be the pull from the lower mind of wanting to see only the parts of a situation. Yeah, it breaks things down to small parts. It's a bit like we've got so many disciplines in medicine now. You've got the urologist and the gynecologist and the proctologist and the internist. Anita Chan, thank you, welcome. Thank you, I appreciate that. We've got all these different disciplines. Thank you, Darian. I appreciate that, thank you. We've got all these different disciplines, and it's quite difficult sometimes to get some of these specialists to see you as a whole, being, and not all these separated parts. Doesn't mean to say that it's not useful to work with statistics and information, although statistics, damn lies and statistics, as we're certainly seeing with COVID at the moment, all kinds of reports as how you can skew those statistics to suit whatever it is you want to report. And then we've got Neptune in Pisces in its rulership of the wisdom of seeing the whole. There's great wisdom in being able to see the whole package. That's why there's a great move now towards holistic medicine, holistic connections, holistic communities, working with nature. We've lived so artificially, overly protected. I know myself too. I'm sensitive to the slightest cold, to a bit too much heat. It's good to be able to strengthen up a little. Aries, Mars in Aries is about strengthening yourself a bit. Yeah. Where could you strengthen yourself a bit to feel brave, courageous? And maybe you fake it till you make it. But we need the sunbeams and the moonbeams. So wonderful in the full moon now to go out tonight, for those of you that can, and look at that moon and have the beautiful moonbeams heal you, energize you. So we've got to come into much more alignment and use the higher mind to work with nature and to work with everything that we're being shown at the moment. And as you work with your consciousness and your awareness, you infect, thank you very much, MMR, I appreciate that. You infect countless other people who you may never know and you may never meet. And apparently it's going to take roughly 10% of us to awaken to make this process a whole lot easier for everybody else. So I'm extremely encouraged by just all the comments, all the connectedness that's happening in the community here and later in your comments. And I'm so grateful that many of you like the video. Please do like the video. That does help more of our family to join us. So think about how you can become more conscious and act out of courage, out of bravery, out of awareness, and no longer be infected by fear. Let's infect one another with love, with kindness. And the North Node is in Gemini. So if we believe we can, we can. And I believe we can. So I want to thank you so, so much for being with me today. Thank you to many of you who've contributed, donated here today. Thank you to those of you who join me on Patreon and support this channel. Thank you for liking, commenting. Much, much, much love to you from Teddy and me here in Greece. Bye for now.